And a better buy at UNI Furniture, downtown Logan.
KBNU News Time is 4:05. During their regular meeting on Tuesday, the members of the Logan Municipal Council approved a balanced budget for fiscal year 2023-24 of more than $200 million for the city. With only 3 members present, the vote by council member Amy Anderson, Tom Jensen, and Jeannie Simmons to approve next year's budget had to be unanimous, and it was. That budget included a certified property tax rate of 0.000990 for calendar year 2023 and fiscal year 23-24, which officials took great pains to state was technically not a tax increase. Anderson indicated that the tax rate is sufficient to allow the city to collect about $5 million in property tax, the same amount that was collected in fiscal year 2022 and 23. Other revenue projections in the city budget include more than $25 million in sales taxes, more than $114 million in service fee charges, and more than $20 million in transfers from other accounts. Projected expenditures include more than $54 million in personnel costs, more than $78 million for operations and maintenance, and more than $22 million for capital outlays. The bottom line of those and other items in both those budget categories is the same, $201,830,702. And mosquitoes are buzzing around in larger numbers and making an earlier appearance this year, prompting the Salt Lake City Mosquito Abatement District to take swift action. Recent storms and the resulting water accumulation have created an ideal breeding ground for mosquitoes, requiring proactive steps to control their population. Dr. Michelle Rubin, the education specialist at the Salt Lake City Mosquito Abatement District, acknowledged the early start to mosquito season. She said this year they got a head start compared to previous years. According to Rubin, the abatement crews are working actively on a daily basis using different strategies to combat the mosquito populations. Drone teams conduct surveys and treat affected areas from above, while bicycle staff inspect catch basins and conduct ground surveys. There's even a specialized crew dedicated to targeting mosquito breeding grounds within trees, ensuring a thorough approach to control. As the mosquito season progresses, the effectiveness of the abatement measures will depend on factors such as rainfall, temperature, and overall weather conditions. Residents are encouraged to support mosquito control efforts by eliminating standing water and taking personal precautions such as using mosquito repellent and wearing protective clothing. KBNU News Time is 4:08. For more details on these and other stories, visit CashValleyDaily.com.
Fast and first with the latest news every 30 minutes. News Talk KVNU, your #1 radio station for news and talk.
The Murdoch Summer Tour sales event is here. At Murdoch Volkswagen, we are turning up the volume on savings. For those summer days with the windows down and tunes playing loud, Murdoch Volkswagen has the perfect ride to make your summer unforgettable. Right now, receive 1.9% for 3 years on a new Tiguan or Taos. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family. At Murdoch Volkswagen in Logan or online at murdochvw.com.
Call 866-628-3065 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 7/5/2023.
Hi, I'm Dr. Shelley Flace with today's tip for kids from the American Academy of Pediatrics. Parents make all kinds of choices about their child's health. One important way you can protect your child's health is with vaccines. Viruses and bacteria are unpredictable, and even healthy children can develop severe complications.
I'm all done.
By vaccinating, you can feel good that you're doing everything you can to protect your child from harmful diseases. If you have questions about your child's vaccines, talk with your pediatrician and visit healthychildren.org.
There's a place to share the joy of your team winning it all, and a place to share a laugh about skiing and taking a fall. There's a place to share photos of pets, or singing in the choir, or the time you ate a pepper and your mouth was on fire. But we could all be better at sharing how we're feeling inside. 76% of employees have struggled with at least one issue that affected their mental health. When you share, you're not alone. Ask about your company's emotional health benefits. Visit heart.org/sharing. Brought to you by the American Heart Association.
for the people.
We are waiting with bated breath for news from the Cash Republican Party meeting an executive committee tonight.
With Jason Williams.
And I'm really excited about this next segment. We have two guests here in studio. We're going to talk about something that we've talked about many times here on the show, but from a bit of a different angle.
Weekday afternoons from 4 till 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 a.m. and 102 FM.
Welcome to KVNU's For the People. It is Thursday, June 22nd. I'm Jason Williams, Bill Walter here in the studio as well. I appreciate our listeners tuning in today, and we have a special show for everyone today. I'm so excited about this. We've been promoting this for weeks, and it's finally here. It is time for this week's episode of the For the People Theater Hour with Charlie Schill joining us here in the studio, and this week, a guest joining us as well. None other than the famous, infamous, which do you prefer, Wendi Hassan of the Cache Valley Center for the Arts is joining us. The Cache Valley Center for the Arts has officially announced their Cache Arts 2023-24 National Touring Season. And Wendi agreed, Charlie lined this up to come into the studio here and make the announcement here on our airwaves. And I'm really excited about this. And I'm going to try to just set this up, jump in to let you know it's time for a break, and otherwise, shut up.
Actually, she muscled her way in here. I had nothing to do with it.
She muscled. She was at the door, and you couldn't. She was moving too fast. You couldn't stop her.
A while back, I don't remember where I was exactly, but she came along and grabbed me by the arm and said, on June 22nd, I'm going to come in and announce the national touring season. And I said, meekly, very meekly, yes, of course.
Well, you wouldn't want to argue.
No.
It must be something with the arts, because the only other person to and actually muscle his way into the studio is Craig Jessup. And if he's listening, Craig, I remember that. Oh, man, this is so exciting. Wendi, Charlie and I talk about the Eccles Theater and Cache Arts all the time. And one of the running themes of this show is that, well, Charlie is a very busy person trying to make sure he sees everything throughout the year. But other than, sometimes a bit of a lull in the January season, it's packed in Cache Valley. We're spoiled.
We are completely spoiled for choice. And what better time of the year to talk to each other about that than now, when you literally, Charlie, are out every night going to shows.
Just about.
I mean, opera opens here in 2 weeks. We've got Lyric opening another show this week. We've got Wizard of Oz up north, and you've got just an embarrassment of riches. And it's like fall when I live on corn and peaches and tomatoes.
Yeah.
It's the theater equivalent of that. You can just binge. I mean, I've traveled. I've spent time in New York and London's West End, and I don't see more theater there than I see in Logan, Utah in the summertime. It's just an amazing thing. And I'd love to say we have 100 shows a year at the Ellen Eccles Theater. I have
That's
been
amazing.
proved wrong. So we counted this year, and there were 123 performances at the Ellen Eccles Theater this year. We've gone up 25% since about 4 years ago. And it is, I think if we did our math right, the 100th performance was our 100th anniversary celebration.
That's cool.
Very nice.
And you want to talk about just a fortuitous and just a celebration of the groups that use the theater. And, you guys give me credit for stuff I don't do. I do have to set the record straight, right? Like, stuff comes through all the time. I curate about 8 to 12 shows on the national touring season. But then other than that, it's our local amazing arts organizations, and it is groups that are coming through on their own. So I have 12 to tell you about that we curated, that we carefully pulled together. And then there's another 15 that are other groups that are coming through that have given us permission to talk about them today. So
it's very cool.
There's a ton.
That is... I'm excited about that, and I'm excited about this as well. This is an unplanned addition to the special guest, because we have Wendi here on the phone with us, none other than Mr. Michael Ballam himself. And I assume he just wanted to call in and say how great you are.
Oh.
But Michael also wanted to call with a clarification as well. But go ahead, tell Wendy how great she is if you can, Michael.
Hi, Michael. And
All
you'd
right,
think we
all
could
right.
talk to each other like in the same space every day.
Yes, that is true. Are you able to hear me now?
Yes,
Sure.
yes.
Well, Wendy, you're fantastic. I can't say enough good for you, and I can't say enough wonderful things about your lineup that you're about to spill the beans with.
You told him, and you didn't tell
I
me.
did not tell him.
Charlie's angry.
Michael is omniscient, and so
I am omniscient. If it's anything arts, I
He
know
knows.
about it.
That's fair.
I keep my ears to the ground. I just wanted to call in about a production that you mentioned last week about the King of Pangaea and the fact that it's a free offering. It is not part of our high school offerings. It is a pre-Broadway workshop.
Oh, wow.
We will have equity actors in it and a director from Broadway, and the composer and book writer and lyricist will be here in residence. It is a hope for us to take it to Broadway. And so the reason it's free is the composer wants to hear people's opinions of it before it goes to the next step, which is a full production, hopefully, on the Great White Way. So it will be wonderfully produced, and the reason it's free is because we need your input. So come on down to see the King of Pangaea. And I should know the dates, but I don't. But it's on our website.
I should as well.
July. I should know it.
I think it's the 18th.
Yeah, it's going to be. So, just to toot Michael's horn for a moment, Michael mentioned he keeps his ear to the ground, but I know he watches the shows that are being in development, and I know, Michael, you mentioned that this is one that you are particularly inspired by. You've been watching for years.
Yes.
New shows come on the horizon, and I know that this was one that you felt had some real traction.
Yes. Well, I've only been watching for 27 years. Every fall they present 8 new works, and if there's interest in producing them, we approach the composers. And this one, out of that 27 years, is far and above the most impressive to me, and will be very touching for those who witness it.
Very nice.
I hope this comes.
And this is July 18th, 7:30 p.m. at the Utah Theater.
One night only.
One night only, a free event, the King of Pangaea. And, Michael, a pleasure to have you join us here on the show for a bit.
Well, it's a pleasure to be with you. We'll all take care of yourselves.
We're all very
We've got
excited
lots of
about.
work to do.
Yeah, we're all very excited about the UFO calendar.
And I think you need to call and get those. You need to actually get those tickets from the Don Sant, I believe, and they're free. So you're going to want to get them fast.
Yeah.
And just imagine if that thing goes to Broadway, if that show makes it, you'll be able to say that you were at the Broadway workshop in Logan, Utah, sponsored by the Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater Company.
How cool is
You'll
that?
have great bragging rights. You got to go.
Why, thank you, Wendy. Are you for sale? To be
Doing a little PR on the side.
Well,
I'm
we're
your
in
biggest
this
fan.
together.
You know that.
Michael, we'll make sure to get her contact information to you.
Okay. I can just walk up the aisle.
That's right.
We're in the same building. Do you think we see each other at all? No, everyone is so busy.
That's right.
And there's such an
Well, thank
energy
you
at the
so much
center
for
right
all
now.
the work all of you do. Thank you so much.
Right
thank
back
you,
at
Michael.
sir. Yeah,
Pleasure to have him join us here, and that's nice. King of Pangaea. What he was clarifying, Charlie and I talked about this last week, and we assumed it was part of a youth workshop of some
Conservatory, yeah,
kind.
that's what I thought.
But no, sounds like just sort of a pre-Broadway. That's very cool.
And there's so much. It's a lot to keep up with, and there's there's ways to. You tell us every week. Thank you so much for spending an hour on theater every week on KVNU. I'm so grateful.
It's fun to do. We get a chance to include Charlie's reviews, and but also spend a lot of time. You can see here, listeners can't see this, but Charlie puts together a 12-month schedule each year in the spring, and then he has to update it about a month later.
That's totally overcome by events already.
Yeah, he has to change it every month, and so I try to keep up. But
Can I just get a copy of that I can import right into my calendar to save me some time, Charlie?
That's and you know who does a great job as well with the calendar? Julie Hollis-Terrell.
Julie Hollis-Terrell. We
She's on
send
top of
people
that.
to explorelogan.com all the time. And if you are someone who plans arts events in Cache Valley and you do not have your stuff on her calendar, you are missing an opportunity, because that's where we send people. That's where I go. Great resource.
Really cool stuff. And we have so much to talk about. We again, coming up, we'll take our first quick break here. And then on the other side, Wendi Hassan, Executive Director of the Cache Valley Center for the Arts, here in the studio with Charlie and I, to announce the 2023-24 National Touring Season. These shows will take place at the Eccles Theater throughout the next 12 months, and it is a list, to say the least, and we'll get right to it right after this.
When you buy Napa Auto Parts, you're getting the best. Pull into any one of the 5 locally owned Preston to Providence Napa Auto Parts stores. They'll not only make sure you get the right battery or wiper blades, but they'll even help you install it. And if you need other work done, they can recommend a dozen Napa Auto Care Centers with ASE certified technicians. That's Napa know-how.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived in Philadelphia. Local time is 3:05 p.m. and the temperature is 67 degrees. At this time, you are now free to use your cellular devices.
You know that feeling when you get to turn your phone on after the plane lands? You can have that feeling every time you drive. Make sure your cell phone is stowed away whenever you are behind the wheel.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
St. Joseph's Indian School is much more than a school for Native American children.
It's like a family. Classes are fun here. I am learning about my culture.
Since 1927, St. Joseph's Indian School has provided children the education, health care, and support they need to succeed. To help give our kids brighter futures, learn more at stjo.org today.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. It is the For the People Theater Hour. Charlie Schill is our guest here in the studio, and this week he brought with him Wendi Hassan of the Cache Valley Center for the Arts. She is, how many years now have you been ED right there? Is that what we say?
8? Yeah, I've been Ed. I've been Ed for I think 8 years now.
Wow.
If my math is right, but
it's Charlie and I talk about this all the time, but it I almost said escalates, and that has a negative connotation.
Ever since Vietnam.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we don't want to say escalates, but the calendar gets bigger and bigger each year. We talk a lot about how you experiment. There is never a season without at least one new thing that you're trying out, and it's amazing to see. And I will, at this point, just kind of step back out of the way and let you and Charlie take it from here, because this is quite a calendar you're announcing today.
Okay, let's talk about the Big 12 without any further ado.
You might get Bill to chime in on that one.
Going 10 rounds. All right, so I can answer a question you've had. Comedy nights are coming back. So we will be doing 3 comedy nights again. And, you mentioned the experimentation. We're always watching to see what you like. So, you let us know by coming. You let us know by giving us feedback. And one thing we learned was not to do comedy on a weeknight. Folks didn't seem to enjoy a Monday night comedy as much as they did a holiday or a weekend. So our upcoming, we will have a September 2nd, February 14th, that's Valentine's Day, and April 13th. So those are all either Valentine's Day or a weekend. And we're going to start out on September 2nd with Moody McCarthy and Tom Anzalone. And Moody's been on America's Got Talent. Tom's been on America's Funniest People. They're a hoot. Remember, these are 2 professional touring comedians who are gathered for us by Keith Barony. He's a comedian, a professional comedian in town. He's written for Seinfeld. He's on the road all the time. He knows these guys and these gals. So he brings them into us, and then he MCs, and they each do a set. And And it's been a marvelous opportunity to gather together and just belly laugh. It's been fun for me to experiment with the genre. Then on February 14th, which is Valentine's Day, we'll have Deborah DiGiovanni and Kevin Bozeman. And here's the thing, this is not necessarily just for couples, especially Deborah's work. Anybody's going to like it, whether you're there by yourself, with your gals, with your guys, or with your boyfriend, girlfriend. So you've got all kinds of pathways into a good laugh on Valentine's Day. On April 13th, we're going to have Kathy Ladman, who's been 9 times on The Tonight Show, and Ross Bennett, who's been on the Just for Laughs Comedy Festival. So these guys they've got cred, they've got traction in the comedy world. We pitch these as PG-13 adult. If you're easily offended, don't come. You should not be a patron of comedy if you're gonna be uncomfortable. We don't want you to be uncomfortable, but do come prepared to not take yourself terribly seriously and to laugh.
The shows that you had this year, the comics kind of tiptoed around sensibilities. And I don't think they were terribly comfortable doing that.
No, and all we tell them is this is how we've built it. Then we don't tell them what to say beyond that. And one of them too was like, okay, how far can I push this, and how far will you let me go, and what do you want to hear from me? So this is a thing with live performance, right? What you bring is going to dictate how the evening goes. It's very much a conversation. So if you bring good energy and we fill that house, it's going to be more fun than it will if it's not.
Moving right along.
So I should say that we are actually putting packages on sale today. So if you do all 3 comedy nights, that's a package, right? You get 30% off. You can get into all of them for like $21 each. So it's we have these ways of kind of combining stuff together. And if you get a package and you want to add some other stuff, you get that same deal, but you can't get single tickets till August 1st, which is when we've been putting tickets on sale. So this is a little earlier for us, it's fun. It's fun to be able to do it faster. So that's the comedy kind of scene. 3 of them throughout the year. We're just delighted about the partnership and excited to have it back. Then we have a family series of 3 shows too. The one I'm going to mention first is Un, Dos, Tres, Andres, and it is a duo, a couple of singers from Colombia, Andres and Cristina, and they're teaching artists. They have several albums to their credit. They've won 3 Latin Grammy nominations, and they have a Latin Grammy win for Best Children's Music Album.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to be working on a podcast with PBS Kids and PRX. They're a delightful couple of artists. They perform in English, Spanish, and sign language, American Sign Language. So it's a great opportunity for anybody who's in the dual immersion language programs or just a fun family night to come to. And that will be November 16th. And they'll do a student matinee for us, too. Earlier than that, back in October, we're going to bring back Cirque Mechanics. Cirque Mechanics came back in 2015 with their pedal punk show. This is Zephyr, a whirlwind circus. Now, in our hint, some people saw that windmill on the hints on Instagram. This is that show. It's acrobats. It's energetic. It has a theme of wind, and you can imagine with the physics of wind, what kinds of stunts and fun things they're going to do. They're also going to do a student matinee for us, and we're delighted to have them back. They always have me on the edge of my seat just saying, please just don't get hurt while you're in the theater. Please just don't get hurt while I'm sitting here in charge. I really wouldn't like that. But they do amazing feats of daring do, and their bodies move in ways mine have never, ever moved. Then in January, the third show in the family series is Step Africa. And stepping comes out of the historically black college and university fraternity and sorority communities.
Oh, okay.
It is such energetic and vibrant and communal dancing. And I just love it when people stomp anyway, because there's just something so
fun to see.
Yeah, it's fun to see, and will be just what we need in January coming out of the doldrums.
That is very cool. I like this as well, and for listeners, you can see this at the website casharts.org. It's broken up into sort of categories: comedy connoisseurs, family faves, magic of moments, spectacular stories, music maniacs. I'm excited to talk about that. And then, of course, you can see the full season with every show listed there in chronological order. CashArts.org. More to come. Wendi Hassan, Executive Director of the Cache Valley Center for the Arts here, unveiling the 2023-24 National Touring Season. Shows you can see at the Eccles Theater over the next 12 months. Right here on our show, we're honored, and we're honored to have you with us as well. Stick around. First, though, a look at the news with KVNU's Bill Walter.
Thank you, Jason. KVNU News Time is 4:30, and the news is brought to you by Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. A missing 84-year-old Utah man is presumed dead after allegedly falling into the Jordan River, according to Murray City Police. Russell Donahue, who was reported missing on Friday and the subject of a silver alert, fell into the Jordan River. The silver alert was subsequently canceled by officials. Search and rescue teams conducted an extensive operation over the weekend, believing it to be an accident. However, Donahue's body has not yet been recovered. Murray City Police will continue their investigation and search efforts to locate Donahue's body. Updates will be provided as more information becomes available. An earthquake with a magnitude of 2.5 was reported near Magna after several smaller earthquakes in the area, according to the University of Utah seismograph stations. They reported that the 2.5 quake occurred Wednesday morning around 11:50. It followed three smaller quakes in the area that happened earlier in the morning, as reported by the station. One was a 1.3 magnitude earthquake, and two others had 1.1 magnitude. The U of U seismograph station said over 50 people in Salt Lake County reported feeling the earthquake. According to a news release, the earthquake is an aftershock of the March 18th, 2020, magnitude 5.7 main shock. Experts have said that there have been 2,800 total aftershocks in the Magna sequence. And a crash that occurred on May 25th and resulted in the death of a man has led to a murder charge against a teen boy. According to the court documents, the 15-year-old suspect is accused of stealing a car parked at the Salt Lake City Airport. West Valley police officers spotted the stolen vehicle and attempted to make contact with the suspect. However, as officers approached, the suspect allegedly sideswiped an unmarked police car and ran over a set of spike strips. The document further revealed that the teen was reportedly driving at an excessive speed of 75 miles per hour in a 25 mile per hour residential zone. While negotiating a corner, the suspect hit a curb, causing the car to become airborne and ultimately land in the front yard of a home. During this sequence of events, the vehicle struck and killed 24-year-old Adrian Hernandez Rodriguez. Additional information provided by court documents highlights the teen's criminal history, which dates back to last year. He's been involved in 5 delinquency offenses, all of which were referred to juvenile court. KVNU News Time is 4:33.
If you've ever passed by 485 North Main, you've likely noticed how well kept the property is. The grass is always green and the flower beds are always well kept and in bloom. What you see on the outside is exactly what you'll find inside. Care and attention to detail. Exactly what you want when you're dealing with one of your most important senses, your hearing. Dr. Daines' love and care for the community has always gone beyond the front steps at Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology. So if you're not hearing as well as you used to, stop in at 485 North Main in Logan or visit them online at cachehearing.com.
A sad ending to the search for a missing submersible with 5 people on board. The Coast Guard today said debris found near the Titanic shipwreck is from the Titan. All signs point toward a catastrophic loss of pressure in the chamber. ABC's Jacqueline Lee in Boston said that had been a concern in the past.
We've seen now that there was a whistleblower a few years ago who said this is not safe. The concern was based off of what the sub was made of as it continued to go down at that level of depth and withstand that kind of pressure, that the fibers would get weaker and weaker with each trip. So now that we have more information from the Coast Guard that this was an implosion, it seems to kind of confirm what these concerns were.
Ocean Gate, the company that owned the Titan, said all of the families, including the company's CEO who was piloting the craft, have been notified and asked that their privacy be respected. The remote submersible that first located the debris will remain at the scene for a while. Daria Albinger, ABC News.
KVNU weather for tonight, partly cloudy and milder overnight, low in the lower 50s near the canyons, east winds 15 to 25 miles per hour after midnight. Isolated rain showers Friday morning, isolated showers and thunderstorms in the afternoon, partly cloudy mid-70s tomorrow, sunny and upper 70s on Saturday. It's been to 76. It's 76 right now at KVNU. KVNU weather brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. If you need a new battery or wiper blades, Napa will make sure you get the right size for your vehicle. They will even help you install it at your 5 locally owned locations of Napa Auto Parts from Preston to Providence. You can always get more news at CashValleyDaily.com. Let's check Wall Street now with Edward Jones.
This is Tony Smith with Edward Jones with the Financial Market Report for June 22nd. On Thursday morning, U.S. weekly jobless claims figures continued to inch higher. Jobless claims came in at 264,000, above expectations of 259,000. This is the third week of claims above 260,000. Now at the highest levels of the year and well above last year's average jobless claims level of 213,000. While jobless claims remain relatively healthy versus history, the move higher could be a leading indicator of a labor market that is softening. Total job openings in the U.S. also have moved lower from recent highs, now close to 10 million versus the peak in March of over 12 million. We believe that the labor market will likely cool in the months ahead, although we expect unemployment to rise more modestly than in past downturns, likely remaining below 5%, in line with the Fed's own forecast of a peak unemployment rate of 4.5% this cycle. The Dow closed down 5 points at 33,947. The NASDAQ was up 128 points at 13,631. The S&P closed up 16 points at 4,382. In the bond market, the 10-year Treasury yields are trading at 3.79%. In stocks of local interest, Apple closed up $3.04 at $187. Nucor was up $1.43 at $153.33. Amazon closed up $5.32 at $130.15. Delta Airlines closed up 15 cents at $42.94, and Tesla closed up $5.15 at $264.61. Oil was down $3.11 at $69.42, and the spot price of gold was down $21.10 to $1,923.80. This has been today's financial market report for June 22nd, brought to you on behalf of Edward Jones, member SIPC, and financial advisor Ted Karen, serving individual investors with personalized attention and financial advice. 878 South Main Street in Smithfield.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Wendi Hassan joining Charlie and I here in the studio for the People Theater Hour. Wendi is the executive director of the Cache Valley Center for the Arts, and she has agreed to join us in the studio today to announce the 23-24 National Touring Season. Cache Arts shows at the Eccles Theater over the next 12 months. And I love this, and I hate to jump ahead, but we got to make sure we talk about that.
Yeah, I will make sure that'll be the last one probably that I tell you. But there is this little Easter egg in here. So
this is very cool.
Okay,
this is going to be
counting
popular.
on my fingers and toes. I think we've got to.
We're halfway.
6.
We got through 6. We got through 6 of the 12.
We can do it.
We can do this.
Maybe.
We can do this. Home stretch. All right, very good. So the magic of movement includes a couple we've already talked about. Zephyr, the Cirque Mechanics Circus, and Step Africa, the amazing. Oh, and I didn't mention Step Africa actually just performed at the White House. They have performed all over the world. They are incredible ambassadors of the form, and we're actually doing that in conjunction, in partnership with USU's Black Student Union. So that one's going to be
very cool.
And the fact that Joe Biden fell asleep during the performance is
no reflection. No reflection. I'm not going to say I've never fallen asleep in anything. So I do not hold the moral
Charlie
high
trying
ground.
to inject some controversy into the. These are definitely shows you don't fall asleep during, because so Charlie and I talked about this last year, and I'll be
your heart's in your throat because you're worried about something's going to go wrong. Somebody's going to fall.
And it's live. It's happening right in front of you. It's not something where it's been edited and
the athleticism and the training. But this you see one of these, and I think they should call it a sport. Because it is that level of training and athleticism involved to be able to pull off. Yeah, anyway.
I'm going to see if they'll give me a routine I can do as a workout. And that's something I can actually physically do.
I think I'd probably be passed out 4 minutes into the show if I were on stage.
That's why they don't pay me to perform. So anyway, the third show in the Magic of Movement is one I've been excited to tell you about. This will be our Christmas special. It will be November 30th, so after Nutcracker. And it is Rhythm of the Dance Christmas Special. So Irish dancing, live music, a big company, Christmas and Celtic. We are really looking forward to this performance. I think it's going to be a real one of our featured performances this year.
That's very cool.
So that's Magic of Movement.
And so that's November 30th, right?
That's November 30th.
Okay.
That's November 30th. So, that's 7. All right. We have 3 musical performances that will be different kinds of people singing other people's music. First up, in August, and we rarely do this. To my knowledge, we've only done one tribute band. That's all I can think of in our touring season. It was an Eagles tribute band. And we are bringing back an Eagles tribute band. August 26th, we will do Hotel California, a salute to the Eagles. It'll still kind of feel like summer, and I think this is a great way to bring people back inside for the legendary Southern California's group and just a trip down memory lane.
This group is well known.
Yes.
That is very cool.
They're the only show to have received the official authorization to perform the Eagles' catalog of music. They've been around. They're actually going to Tuacahn a couple of times this year, so they're going to be a real a treat, and again, just an opportunity to reminisce and rock out.
There's a great interview when I can't remember if it's which one of the Eagles it is. There's a great interview where he says, I think they're better than we were.
Ouch.
And it's a fun interview.
Sounds like either Don Headley or
I
Fry.
think it was Don.
So it's not a form we present very often. And so the second show in the Music Maniacs package is very different. So this is 2 rising female country stars. Miko Marks, who is CMT's 2022 Next Woman of Country, and the Nashville-based singer Christina Train, singing the songbook of Dolly Parton, Loretta Lynn, and Patsy Cline. I'm a huge fan of their own music, but this will be a way to get to know up-and-coming stars with songs that you already know, and they're not going to pretend to be those people. It's not going to be, they're going to put their own stamp on it, kind of like Jazz at Lincoln Center did last year, playing the standards but doing it in their own way with their own stamp. And there's going to be a 5-member all-female band. It's going to be a powerhouse. This happens to be the same month as our own Cache County Cowboy Rendezvous, and we're already talking to them about cross-promoting. We checked with them before we booked the show just to make sure we were going to complement each other, and it's going to be a treat. I love their voices. Yeah, this is going to be great. So the third in this series is something completely different. It's our Broadway offering for the year, and it is a concert-themed theatrical experience. It's been to the Eccles in Salt Lake. It's been to London's West End. It is the Simon and Garfunkel story. Now, these are 3 different but kind of similar music experiences. They're going to be priced very differently because they are different levels of production.
Sure.
This is the full Broadway. There's going to be projection photos, film footage, a full live band, the big load-in that we have when we usually bring in the touring shows.
That is very cool. Now, these shows are popular. They've been done with, some of the biggest bands. I think 3 or 4 of them have been done, regarding the Beatles. But this is sort of telling the story through traditional stage storytelling, but then mixing the music in as well, and they're really fun to see.
Yeah, I think we've got the taxonomy of music performances here in
That is
these
pretty cool.
3 different shows. There'll be different experiences, but we thought that they paired well together like a good wine and cheese.
Nice selection. I'm adding most of them to my calendar. So,
and we've been chasing the Simon Garfunkel story for years. We've been hoping to bring it here, so we're super excited that it lined up. Kind of fun that it lined up in this particular mix because it's just got an interesting twist. Okay, finally, the Spectacular Stories package, which includes the Simon and Garfunkel story because, of course, it's the story of that duo.
Sure.
And then we are bringing selected shorts, which has its own podcast. It's actually aired on Utah Public Radio, and we're doing this in partnership with them. They bring, if you went to the Moth last year, it's kind of the same. It's got some similarities, but instead of true stories told live by individual tellers, it's professional actors reading short stories by literary authors. They'll send us 3 actors. We don't know yet who they are. They're creating this, curating this for us. Most often, we get shows when they're on the road and they're coming through and they're going to other venues. We like to route them well so that it costs them less to travel and we get a good experience.
Okay.
For this one, we're reaching out and getting it just for us, curated just for us, and it will be and we'll be recording it, and I think it might even be aired locally, possibly. No promises.
So the literary artists for the show will be unique to this show.
They might have been in other places too, but they're curating it for us. So they'll pull from their stable of actors and stories something specifically for us. We had a great conversation kind of talking about our community and what might be of interest, and this is one that I think we'll get some folks from out of town to come to because it's a very well-known show.
I imagine that's a very difficult show to put together.
They spend a lot of time. And
I would imagine.
You don't realize how difficult it is to find the right mix of stories, the right mix of performers that will fit the community in dates those performers are available. So it's a lot more work to put together than even we realized. But we're very excited, and it's a recognizable name and going to be a great show.
It's very cool.
The piece de resistance.
That's
right.
This is going to sell out.
I got a call
I think most
from,
of this is, but this one guaranteed sells out.
And the more you come to, the more I can bring. So there is certainly that. I got a communication from an agent about a screening of a film for its 20th anniversary. And this is going all across the country. In fact, a great to-do has been made about this screening in a certain theater in Florida. What I would like to do is make this public so that we can tell them that ours is going to be more important. We will be screening the film Napoleon Dynamite, which is celebrating its 20th anniversary in 2024. And then we will have a community conversation with John Heater, John Grease, and Efren Ramirez, who are Napoleon Dynamite, Uncle Rico, and Pedro.
That is very fun.
I mean, come on, right?
The actual cast of this movie, so popular here in Utah.
You've got
especially.
Another one here.
Yes.
Mary Hears.
We've already been talking to Mary. We're talking to the agent about how we can customize this. Maybe we can, share Preston's maps of the locations in the film, or maybe we can work with American West Heritage Center. Sorry, we haven't talked to you about this yet, guys. Maybe we can throw a casserole at a llama. Tater tots are on the rider.
Great idea.
So, I mean, go back and rewatch the show and be prepared to celebrate our very own claim to fame with Napoleon Dynamite.
That is very cool. And honestly, you mentioned with selected shorts, this is probably going to draw a crowd from out of the valley. I would assume with this as well.
We are certainly hoping. And I know my California family watch Napoleon Dynamite and laugh really hard. And I'm like, what are you laughing about? This
is to be able to celebrate the film on its 20th anniversary in the basic region where it was made.
Right.
And yeah, that is just really, really cool.
That's it. That's 12. That's our
made it.
12 shows. And it has been the first time in a few years that we've been able to talk about it at this time of, just all together and actually feel good about them all. Yeah, it's a great place to be. And we wouldn't be here if we hadn't been so well supported by everyone coming out when we were in smaller houses. So
that's right.
We couldn't be more grateful for the support.
Well, and continue to support casharts.org. You can see the full lineup because there's a lot more on top of this even that we've talked about here this hour. You can buy tickets. It's kind of your one stop for everything there, casharts.org. And I'm glad, Wendy, that we were able to get through that with some time because I know, Charlie and I, when we talked about doing this today, when we've talked about your work in general, when we've talked about specific shows that have taken place at the Eccles over the last year, several years we've been doing this hour on Thursdays, the question that we always kind of collectively have is, how do you do this? Can we?
You want to go there?
What's a day in the life?
Well, can I answer that in a slightly roundabout way? I actually have more announcements I can make, and it relates to your question.
Okay.
So we have many, I'm not going to say community groups. Some of them are community, some are professional. We have many local arts producers. They get first crack at the dates in the theater. Okay. So when I go to meet with agents, I work with what's left, essentially. And then I try to curate something that's going to complement what's already here. And then in the process of that, also many others will come forward. Rick Springfield was one of those. That was put on by Disciple Live Events. And they also did Plain White Tees. So I don't bring everything. A lot comes to us. And they come to us because Logan audiences, Cache Valley audiences, treat them well. They come out to the show. They give them a great reception. And because about 5 years ago, we did a major reinvestment in the theater as we reached our 25th year since the restoration, and we've been able to make some improvements that make our space attractive to them. And that also we owe to the community. Sure. So when we let these groups that also produce know what we were doing, we asked if any of them would also like to announce at the same time. And so I have a few more. And these are ones I didn't do, but that will be coming. And some of them you know about, some of them you don't. We will have a tribute to the Carpenters on August 18th.
Now, that's one I didn't know about.
Yes, so that one has not been announced. Now, Ragtime from Music Theater West,
Yeah.
And of course, backing up, we have the entire 5 weeks of the Utah Festival Opera and Musical Theater, which is just don't miss all of that. It's going to be amazing. So coming back then to September with Ragtime, Toast, you've mentioned, that's already on sale. Here's another new one. Warren Miller's 74th annual feature film this year will be at the Ellen Eccles.
Wow, 74 years.
First time we've had it.
Ski movies.
Skiing.
Right?
Ski
That's
film.
amazing.
That's right. So go outside and ski, then come inside and watch. This one I'm very excited about.
This is going to excite parents. This next one.
I think so. The Grand Kiev Ballet, which has been actually doing Ukraine fundraising around the world, is bringing Snow White November 18th. And this is just before the Nutcracker. So you can get serious ballet at the Ellen Eccles Theater this fall. It's going to be amazing. Okay, here's another big one. You ready for another big one? Gentry will be coming in December for 3 nights. We are delighted to have our Gentlemen's Trio back in town. They've been before. They're absolutely amazing. And Casey, one of the 3, was actually in a lyric season many years ago. So they have some Cache Valley roots.
I didn't know that.
Jenny Oakes Baker will do a Joy to the World Sacred Celebration December 11th.
She did a Random Acts show.
She did
in 2020.
a Cherry Peak show. It was nestled in the Random Acts, but was actually brought to us by Cherry Peak Productions.
Oh, really?
So yes, and she's back.
And it was wild.
This is going to be there's a lot more going on stage for this one than we could do then, than she could do then. So think choirs, think like it's going to be a big one.
It's very cool. And tickets for that actually go on sale July 5th, I noticed.
They do.
That's
so
early.
watch out for now. These will slowly populate to the website. You're hearing it first on the Theater Hour.
This is cool.
Pickleville will be back in December with I Believe in Christmas, a North Pole musical. The Banff Film Festival in February. More outdoors, indoors. I love that.
This was fun this year.
Just really fun. And it always makes me want to go outside, and then I don't.
Same.
Living vicariously through our
it's
outdoor
fun to
adventures.
watch it, though. Fun to watch them.
Cache Valley Civic Ballet and Valley Dance Ensemble will both be doing spring shows, and Dance Source, May 11th, always right before opera moves in. They come in and do some beautiful local dance.
That is
There you
very
go.
cool. This is, and that is a great way to answer the question that I had, because it illustrates how. So you've got this theater. It's a large theater. You've got this whole year of, and I've always wondered how you juggle all of these things, because you have. The Festival Opera, they're planning in their own way. You have the local groups who are planning in their own way and may want to use the space. And that's nice to know that they get priority.
They do. The locals always, because they nurture our ecosystem. It's their audiences we borrow when we bring stuff from out of town.
Do you ever take a break from the planning?
Oh, no.
Portion of this?
I was yesterday defending some dates I put on March 2025 that I have to guard for something that I'm trying to put together. It becomes a bit of a feeding frenzy at times. But we benefit from routes that were laid during the vaudeville era. So I will get those calls from agents that are like, hey, it's you or a night in a hotel, right? And they might be midweek engagements of acts we could never otherwise afford.
Sure.
And it's amazing. So, keep your eye out for those, because they are a gift to us that we benefit from, because we've kept that live performance tradition alive for 120, 30 years.
That is. Have you ever had something pop up and it just wasn't possible, and it was so disappointing that you had to say no?
All the time.
Because
was one.
You have a calendar, and
Yes.
with the spaces,
There was
That
one this
is-
year, and it's a piece that I have been on the wish list for 5 years now, and they gave me dates, and guess what? We had a local company on those dates, and I never do this, but I actually called them and said, hey, can you move? And they said, sure, we can move. So we looked at the dates they'd have to go to, and somebody else was on those dates.
Really?
So we went to them and said, hey, could you move? And they said, sure, we can move to the date somebody else.
And it just wouldn't work. Huh?
And that one couldn't move. So, yeah, the dominoes didn't work out for me that time. But it's okay, because I'm a patient woman. It might take me a decade, but I'm going to get them here. And then I will come and tell you about it.
Rick Springfield, for example.
Rick Springfield.
Charlie.
Yeah, we know Charlie's
He
on the
was
first of the
super
list to get him back.
Yeah, sure. Actually, the day Rick Springfield was there, I went to the Utah to watch The Searchers.
Yes.
That's fun.
And then I drove around the block for a half hour trying to find Debbie and her friends.
You have choices. If you don't, there's 3 historic theaters downtown, 3 more theaters on campus, stuff at Skyview, stuff at Logan High. There is stuff everywhere. So, Bear Lake, obviously.
Obviously.
Yeah. That's listener asking here. I'm Googling as fast as we can. And maybe you know off the top of your head, Wendy or Charlie. Listener wants to know when the AIDA tickets go on sale.
AIDA tickets are on sale.
They're on sale
They are
now,
on sale
right?
now. Oh, yes. And remember to distinguish whether you're going to the Elton John or the Verdi or both. And I recommend both.
I don't know how you could pass on both.
You got to compare and contrast,
yeah,
right?
it's
Two
just-
completely different experiences.
You have to see you have to see them both. I plan to not. So last year I missed the outdoor show. Charlie went, and I missed it.
The Tenderland.
The Tender.
I've been so angry since.
It was amazing.
Magnificent.
It was amazing.
That is very cool. This is, It's been quite a few years for the Eccles, from coming off of that renovation and more to really packing things with the national touring season, the non-touring season shows as well, the pandemic, which you got hats off for how that was handled, because you kept things happening in a way that people were comfortable with, and still brought a lot to the Valley. But man, what a touring season. Congratulations. And I assume you're now just hard at work on the 24-25. Oh, thank you. Wendi Hassan, Executive Director of the Cache Valley Center for the Arts, our guest, joining Charlie and I for the For the People Theater Hour. Charlie, thank you for making this happen. It's been really fun. And for listeners, tickets available for a lot of this now. CacheArts.org, your one stop for everything you need to know about the upcoming shows and more. CacheArts.org. I've also linked to that on our Facebook page. And that is the For the People Theater Hour. We'll be back with Hour 2 of today's show right after this here on KVNU Logan.